Alright, so what I'm about to do is I have the my Ibanez BTB575 bass. And this one has a 500K volume pot, and the pickups are passive. So what I'm going to try to do is do an active passive switch, replace that with a 500K push-pull pot, which I can pull up to bypass the EQ, push it back down when I want to use the EQ again, and dropped it. Here's I'm following a diagram of another bass that also has the Bartolini MK electronics in it, except I don't know, and I'm following per se, but I don't know if it'll actually do what I want and have it be an active passive switch that where when the battery dies I can pull it up and go straight from the pickups, or if it'll just bypass the EQ and do nothing else, which still I guess might be useful for a bit of a more organic tone, which you can't exactly get just by dialing all the knobs flat. But here's what we've done so far. There's 6 lugs. There's a double pull, double throw switch here. The middle lugs are the common ones. So we got one going up to the volume pot. The other one, which I've soldered another red wire to, that's going to go to the balance pot. And the 2 lugs above that, you can see I've bridged them together with a small piece of metal to seal the connection. And on the bottom lugs, there's an orange wire going to the volume pot and an orange wire going to the balance pot, which, based on another diagram I saw, are actually the inputs and outputs for the Bartolini MK preamp. And those are going to go to their respective lugs to go to their respective pots. And that should, if my calculations are correct, do the EQ bypass. I'm hoping that it'll also allow me to run straight from the pickups if the battery goes out, but it might only do an EQ bypass. If it just does an EQ bypass, I might leave it like that unless I can get help from someone else on how to do a true bypass, which will actually allow me to do what I want it to do, which means I'll have a backup in case the batteries go out. Anyway, I'm going to take off the back pickup cavity and do some soldering and get this wired up, and we'll see what the results are. So stick around, stay tuned for more. Okay, so we are back, and I've finished the wiring. I got the preamp going. I usually scoop the mids down a bit, boost the bass and the treble. Gives me a little extra crunch when I got my preamp on. And what happened after I did the soldering was the blend pot got a little fizzy, and initially the setting in between where both pickups were on full did not work. However, that's what it's on right now, and they are working. Now, we're doing this fingerstyle. And let's dial all the EQ knobs flat. Play it with the pick. Go to the neck pickup. Bridge pickup. Back to both pickups. And now, what you've really been waiting for. You get a lot less noise without the preamp. Unfortunately, all it does is bypass the EQ circuits in the preamp. I tried taking the batteries out earlier before I started recording this to see if it actually did a full passive mode, but it did not. Still, you bypass the preamp anyways. It just still requires batteries to operate. It still requires batteries to operate, though, unfortunately. But you get less noise this way, so I suppose this would be a good thing if you wanted to go with a flat EQ. Just pull up the knob instead of turning the EQ knobs flat. You get less noise, because if I push it back down, you still hear a bit of hiss again. But pull it up, it's gone. Honestly, I was at first worried because the pickup blend pot was fizzy, and the setting in between both pickups to have both pickups on, which on this particular bass I like to use both pickups on at once. On my other BTB, the 405, I prefer to go with the neck pickup most of the time, but on this one I like to do both pickups. I panicked at first, but then after dialing it back and forth a few times, eventually it worked. So, and I think it's partially because the blend pot is open, so some debris probably got in there while I was soldering. Plus, it didn't exactly help either that the soldering iron heat up the wires so much that the insulation got burned off in a few places. Although I could go over that with the liquid electrical tape and fix that, or get some heat shrink tubing, which I have. I thought that was on my desk somewhere. Anyways, let's do all the pickup modes in passive. This is the neck pickup. Go to both pickups. Now to the bridge pickup. Back to both pickups. The only reason I don't like to use the bridge pickup on either of my basses is because you lose a lot of low frequencies doing that. But anyways, let's put the preamp back on. Scoop out the mids. A little extra bass, a lot of extra treble. My usual preferred mode of choice. Now let's preamp bypass again, just for good measure. Preamp back on. In case you wondered. Well, that's even though it doesn't allow you to go into a get out of trouble mode, I don't know how to wire it so it'll do that, but it still cuts back on the noise when I want to go off of the EQ a bit for a more vintage sound. Well, it's not quite vintage, but closer, more organic sounding, and the it's pretty interesting to hear these Bartolinis. These are, by the way, Bartolini MK2 pickups. You know, I'd like to trade them out with some US-made Bartolinis, but they don't make any 5-string pickups in this size. The P5 6-string pickups are this same size, but they're quad coil, and the split is right where the A string would be, rendering it inaudible, so I don't think I can do that. But, you know, I've thought of other things, such as buying some plastic soap bar covers that are about this size, to make some that are slightly longer that I've seen on eBay. and just cutting them. I could buy those pickup covers and cutting them into sections that are half the length of these pickups, so I can butt them together and then maybe put some J-bass pickups underneath them, or get some pick guard material and make some soap bar shaped covers and cut out J-bass style pickup holes in them, so I can use them as soap bar shaped pick guards that go around that cover up the roots. I mean, there's plenty of options, but these pickups still sound pretty decent as they are. As far as the other one, the 405, I thought of also doing this push-pull mod on that one too, but I think since it has the Ibanez preamp in it instead of the Bartolini one, I don't know specifically the wiring on that one, so it might be harder to do that one. And also, despite the fact that that one also has passive pickups, the volume pot is 25K instead of 500K. So when you go into passive mode, that's going to sound a little strange. And I don't know if I can switch to a 500K pickup pot for the volume pot on that preamp and not have it cause other problems. I'm told it's not good to mix impedances, but someone else who knows is better might be able to fill me in on that one. Anyways, that is adding an active-passive push-pull mod for the Ibanez BTB575 bass. Enjoy, and thanks for watching.